Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order our public hearing for Tuesday, March 4th. Kendra, do we just call it to order, right? We're good? Okay. All right, so we have two public hearings tonight, so I'll just begin with reading out this document here. These public hearings are being held pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act. All members of the public will be given a reasonable time to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaw that is the subject of this hearing. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received by noon today concerning the subject bylaw have been circulated to council and are available to the public as part of the meeting package. Staff will provide their report, followed by an opportunity for the applicant to speak. Members of the public who have pre-registered to speak have been added to the speakers list in the order that requests were received. Anyone who is not pre-registered may call into the conference line during the live meeting by calling the meeting conference line at 778-907-2071 and entering the meeting ID 506-489-9374 with the passcode 485186. The deputy mayor will provide an opportunity for public comment according to the speakers list, followed by comments from those who have just joined the meeting. Speakers will be asked to state their name and civic address. Please note that all representations, whether written in person or electronic, are available to the public for viewing as part of the public record. Remarks will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker and should include all of the relevant information in their presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded to all members of the public to speak a second or third time with new information only once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. Council may ask questions of staff, the applicant, and the public, but once the public hearing is over, no new information can be received. Council debate on the bylaw will take place during the regular council meeting following the conclusion of this public hearing. The corporate officer will now provide information on the notice of this public hearing.
So notice of the public hearing was given by posting on the notice board at Municipal Hall and on the district's website, as well as advertising in the Summerland review issues of February 20th and 27th, 2025. In addition, for public hearing number 1, 18 notices were mailed to owners and occupiers on February 19th, 2025. And for public hearing number 2, 20 notices were mailed to owners and occupiers on February 19th, 2025. The district has received 1 written submission citing concerns with the proposal with regard to the first public hearing for zoning bylaw 24 -007 for 15815 Highway 97, and these comments have been circulated to council with the agenda package. No written submissions have been received with regard to the second public hearing regarding zoning bylaw 24-009 for 15600 Highway 97.
Okay, thank you. So the first public hearing is for 15815 Highway 97, and I will hand it over to Laura.
Thank you. So today I'll be presenting an official community plan and zoning amendment bylaw application for the use of a food processing facility. The applicant is not in attendance tonight.
Laura, do you just want to push your microphone over a little bit? Yeah, perfect.
The subject property, outlined in blue, is surrounded by Highway 97, Jones Flat Road, and other agricultural parcels. It currently contains an apple orchard, a single-family dwelling, and an accessory building. Both existing structures are proposed to be demolished. The subject parcel also lies within the Agricultural Land Reserve, where land must first comply with the provincial land use regulations of the Agricultural Land Commission. The ALC has regulations regarding food processing facilities. The applicant is currently working with the ALC to meet their requirements. The current agricultural designation does not support the development of industries on agricultural land. The proposal is to redesignate the parcel to agri-industrial, which supports food processing and packing. The applicant is proposing to rezone the subject property to M3 agri-industrial, as the current A1 agricultural small acreage does not permit the proposed use. The proposed M3 zone permits primary and secondary processing of agricultural products as a principal use. The proposed application is for an approximately 2,600 square meter facility and is intended to be used for the Okanagan Food and Innovation Hub as a tenant and Locomotive Organic Delivery for their own operation. The Food Hub, Community Futures Okanagan Similkameen, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the District of Summerland have been working together to initiate a regional food hub for several years now. More recently, Locomotive Organic Delivery joined the endeavor as a partner, helping to support the land purchase and building construction to host the food hub. Staff have referred this application to internal departments and external agencies requesting comments. Of the external agencies' responses received, the key response was from the Agricultural Land Commission, requiring further information and an additional application. Staff support the application for the following reasons. As the proposed location is adjacent to the highway, it may be well suited for truck access. The proposed OCP designation supports food processing and packing. The proposed zone permits primary and secondary processing of agricultural products as a principal use. And the continued work in progress of implementing a food hub within the district supports council's strategic priority to continue moving forward with this project. Thank you.
Okay, now we ask for anybody from the public. That's correct, Kendra? Yeah, okay, anybody from the public would like to speak to this topic? Great. I do have one person.
Yes, there's
registered.
one person registered for this
Oh, okay.
application.
Can you read out the name to me? I don't have it right in front of me.
So Brian Mottershead.
Is Brian here? No? Okay. Did either any of you want to speak to this topic at all? No? Okay. Then do I ask council? Council, do you have any questions on this at all? Go ahead.
Question through our planning department. If I'm not mistaken, is the house that's on that property is condemned at this point in time?
Through the chair to Councillor Van Alphen, I would say yes, it's not habitable. At one point in time, we had required the owner to put fencing around the property to because it was being squatted in by people that shouldn't have been. That has been since removed, but the intent with this proposal is that both those existing houses or structures would be demolished.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To our planning department. Brad, we did have a written submission come in from one of the neighbors, and there was 4 points, but one was access to the property is coming off of Jones Flat Road, which is there's drives across from this and also where the mailboxes are. So I guess my question is, will planning be discussing the congestion that could happen at that point, especially if there's large trucks going into there, especially it could be quite dangerous. The second point is that a point was made that their compost would just be piled outside on the south side of the building. So and they had some concerns in regards to the byproducts and the smells of those byproducts. So as this process goes on, I realize that this is the rezone, but as you're moving through this file, are you going to take into account some of these issues that have been brought forward?
Through the chair to Councillor Patton. Yes, to answer the question, we will be a couple of things with regards to, first off, the access. There will be the requirement to get a roadside development permit from the Ministry of Transportation for this application to proceed, and before we can issue a building permit. And the ministry will be looking at the access as well as the access onto the highway, how trucks could queue onto the highway, then also coming into the property. And as well, I think secondly to that, we'll have to look at it from a site planning perspective on our end. So I definitely, I haven't looked at the correspondence in detail, I apologize, but we will be looking at that as we get it to the building permit stage. And then the second aspect with regards to the disposal of materials or effluent coming from the property, I think Interior Health is going to have some concerns. I think we probably already have a letter of correspondence from them. I can't remember. If not, we do. Okay, thanks, Laura. Because it is supposed to be serviced with septic. They're going to be reviewing what they're discharging pretty significantly. So any waste that's generated will be, I think, heavily reviewed by them. Yeah, I think that for the most part, our building department will be work in tandem with Interior Health when we get to building permit issuance.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Connie. My question is regarding the organic waste, which is mentioned in the letter, because they're saying that they'll do it on the south side of the building. But will they have a requirement to remove that waste in a regular schedule to take it to the organics depot at the landfill?
Through your worship to Councillor Peak. You know, that is something we haven't discussed at a lengthy level yet at the staff level. I think our works department would have some perspective on that, on the time frame of when that material is being removed. I think we'll have to look at that more closely again as we get to the next stage of this proposal. I can tell you that we are as well, I think on the staff side, concerned about the effluent, but I know it's things that we can, and I'm sorry, that mean by the organic waste as well, that we can probably address it with our works department and how often things get picked up.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Barkwell.
So, going through the letter from the neighbor, it doesn't appear that there isn't anything that can be worked out between the parties, you know, mutually worked out. And one comment on and I can understand the concern about noxious odors and disposable waste, point number 3 there. But from personal experience with large amounts of composted animal waste close to the house, I never notice it. You know, you get within 20 feet, you can notice something, but this is going to be, I'm not quite sure, unless it's some industrial scale amount of, you know, regular compost that you know, comparable to what's at the landfill. There's a lot of space between there and the residents, so I don't anticipate that being a problem.
Councillor Betts.
Thank you to our Director of Development Services, or possibly to Laura, but just a question about, can the Canada Post box be moved?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Betts, I believe that is already, I have, if I recall, a conversation with Bobby Williamson, our Director of Development Engineering, and there are some minimal offsite improvements required for this project on Jones Flat Road, and one of which is the Canada Post office box to be moved further, I think, away from this access point. So that's all those costs are going to be put on the developer. So they have to get into an agreement with Canada Post on where that new location will be for that box.
Okay, Council, do you have any further questions at this point? Go ahead. Yeah,
Could I bring the motion forward?
public hearing.
Uh,
You can do that when we get into
When
the
we finish
meeting.
close it?
So before we close, I'm just going to ask a second time if there's anybody from the public that would like to speak about this application. Yeah. Kendra, can Thomas? Yeah, okay, come on up, Thomas. Just state your name and your address.
Thomas Tumback, Garnet Valley, 27218 Garnet Valley Road. So we are the proposed developer of the project. Just wanted to speak to the organics compost. So as a portion of the project is having retail sales, we're trying to attract the public. So the last thing we actually want is bad smells. And we did have some conversation about that with the concerned resident. And I think he could concur that it is something we're going to be actively trying to abate. We do have a plan to purchase a BioVator compost machine, which is a cylindrical steel, stainless steel drum, which rotates. It can handle, the largest model can handle up to 1,500 pounds of waste per day. It turns the product into soil within 6 days. So arguably that could be actually a valuable byproduct for us to sell. So we're actively researching and trying to come up with solutions. I think in some instances, there are byproducts that are organic waste that could go directly to farmers in the region that might have pigs, for example, are very interested in getting those products. So I think we are very motivated to make sure that that is well handled. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll ask for a third time. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none. Kendra, just a quick question, ask council one more time. Okay, any final comments or questions? No? Okay, I will declare this public hearing closed. And we will move on to public hearing number 2. This is for the official community plan amendment bylaw number 2025-005 and zoning amendment bylaw number 2025-006 for 15600 Highway 97.
Thank you. So the district is processing an official community plan and zoning bylaw amendment application to permit the use of a daycare. The applicant is in attendance this evening. The parcel 15600 Highway 97 is located at the corner of the highway and Thompson Road, which was the location of the visitor center. The property is currently district owned and the building on the property is managed by the Chamber of Commerce, who operated the Tourist Information Center. The current tourist commercial designation supports uses such as tourist accommodations and food and beverage sales. It does not support the development of a daycare. Therefore, the proposal is to redesignate the parcel to low-density residential in order to support the use of a childcare center, and which will also better align with the surrounding parcels. The applicant is proposing to rezone the subject property from highway commercial to neighborhood commercial, as the proposed zone permits childcare center major and minor as a principal use. The district is currently in the process of selling the property, and the prospective new property owner is requesting to rezone and redesignate the property to support a change in use of the existing building. The applicant is proposing an approximately 48-space daycare or childcare center. Staff have referred this application to internal departments and external agencies requesting comments. Comments were received from both internal and external agencies. Most notable are from the Ministry of Transportation requiring an access permit. Additionally, since first and second reading of the proposed bylaw amendments, the district received a response from Interior Health regarding provincial requirements for a childcare, which the applicant will need to comply with. Staff support the application for the following reasons. The proposed use of a childcare center major and neighborhood commercial uses would provide a needed community amenity and service to the neighborhood. And the proposed use would align with the neighborhood commercial zone and support local neighborhood commercial uses that are intended to serve communities. Thank you. The applicant is in attendance this evening to answer any questions.
Did the applicant want to speak at all to this, to the proposal? No? Okay. Council, do you have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Betts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor. Quick question about kind of the order in which the rezoning would happen. Would that come after the Interior Health approvals were in place to guarantee that it's allowed to be a daycare at that location, and then it would be rezoned? Or does it have to become rezoned for then Interior Health to do kind of the final approvals? Just because once that's done, then this parcel has changed its use.
For sure. Thanks. Through the chair. That would be up to the applicant, the order in which they would choose to do it. But for the zoning, the Interior Health, the provincial regulations wouldn't directly affect how we would zone, like the district would zone the parcel. For the district, the neighborhood commercial uses, daycare or not, would like fit with that neighborhood. So that would be up to the applicant how the order in which, but yes, when they come to apply for a building license, for example, they'd be required to prove that they meet the provincial requirements as well.
Sorry, my mic was not on, my fault. I'm telling you to turn yours on and mine's not on. Just state your name and your civic address. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Linda Aquilini and it's 1602 Vineyard Drive, West Kelowna. To answer your question, we actually cannot get a Interior Health license without being zoned properly. So essentially, we do have to have the zoning first. Interior Health, I have to submit an application with everything. They do their due diligence, go through it with us, and then the city has to sign off at the very end saying that it's acceptable, but they won't give us our license without the city zoning first. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? No? Okay. Did you want to add anything?
No, other than the fact that I do have a few daycares already, so I'm very familiar with the process and very familiar with what Interior Health is wanting. So I'm confident that everything will be good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, we don't do public hearings very often anymore. Kendra, do I just ask one more time and then you can close it? I asked twice. No. Okay. Legally, I have to ask one more time if anybody in the audience would like to speak. Nobody wants to? All right, so I will declare this public hearing closed. Thank you. Okay, and now we are going to reconvene our regular council meeting at 6:24. And so we'll move into section 16. And this is dealing with the things that we just dealt with in the public hearing. So 16.1 is the OCP and zoning bylaw amendment application for the food hub. So Brad, I send that back to you.
We don't have any staff presentations for a third reading, given we just came out of public hearing. So we're happy to take any questions from council with regards to their deliberation.
Go ahead, Councillor Van Elfen.
I'd be happy to move the staff recommendation.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Peak? Great, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Beck?
Thank you just for further discussion. I think that the comment about the composting on site from the neighbor, you know, while always a valid concern, this is an agricultural property. I realize that we're talking about food production, but you know, as a farm property, there's going to be a certain amount of allowable waste naturally occurring and composting on the property. But I really appreciate the proponent coming forward and saying that the different measures that they're looking to actually add onto there, because yeah, the volume of compost they might create could be great, but that's part of their sustainable model. And that's just incredibly important to what they do. They, you know, value add and basically create soil amendments as a byproduct of their work. It's reducing the amount of waste that's going to the landfill. This is hugely valuable in so many different ways. So I support what they're doing, 100%. And, you know, sometimes there's smells from farms. I think that that should be expected. This property is still going to be farmed. So, you know, residents can expect agricultural properties to have smells. And I think that that's just natural. Other than that, that's all I had to contribute. I think it's a great project.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think these folks, the neighbors, have lived beside farms their whole life living in Summerland. I don't think living beside the farm is the issue. The issue is that you bring it to the attention of the proponent that having smelly organic product, when it's right now an apple orchard, so there is no smelly organic product, is taken care of. And I think it is a valid concern when you're having, and it's a great operation that's going in there. But if you do have somebody's concern with that, and I think it's great that Thomas addressed the way he did and what they're doing, which is fine, which is more information than we had before Thomas spoke with us. But I do think there was a valid concern, and it's not that it's beside a farm, because it is beside a farm already. But yeah, I agree with you to some extent.
I think that the feedback that we did receive was really good. And I think here, this is an example of where good communication is really important as well. I know Thomas wants this, and everybody wants this to be a successful project. We've been working at it for a really long time. So I'm really happy to see it's finally starting. We're starting to see the end. And I think it's really neat that people will be able to go to this facility and see what products are being offered. And like Thomas mentioned, it is for the public. And so it's in their best interest to make it as welcoming and the least smelly as possible. So I think it's really great. And yeah, I think the feedback was good. As long as we have open communication with the neighbors, then we can try to address their concerns. Go ahead, Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to say that this plan will be an economic plus a tourism boost for our area. So I think that as it develops and has the opportunity to roll their products out and to allow a research kitchen and to have leasing on good equipment that people can do their own processing with to create small batches. I think this is just a win-win for the agricultural community and for the community of Summerland. So I think the opportunity is awesome.
Great. Councillor Barkwell.
And don't forget the benefit of taking down that house, which is a well-known drug house, and stolen property seems to show up there, and squatters, and neighbors will really be glad to see that gone.
Good. Okay. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Yes. Okay. So is there any final or comments, questions? No? Okay. Seeing none, then I will call the question. All in favor? Great. Thank you. And Kendra, the final adoption won't come until we get highways approval? Okay. So when would that come then? Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, just to be clear, we are recommending it through this resolution, which just got adopted, that did not come forward until we have ALC approval for the Agricultural Land Commission.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, moving on to 16.2. This is for the 15600 Highway 97 property. So the motion is on the table, or is on the screen there. Does someone want to bring it forward? Councillor Van
Thank you,
Alphen?
Deputy Mayor. I'll be happy to bring it forward.
Okay, Councillor Peak, seconder. Okay, any comments or questions? No? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Great, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we don't have any delegations tonight. So moving on to development reports and business items, 18.1, site-specific zoning amendment for 18420 Garnet Valley Road. CAO?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy to introduce this. So on January 6, 2025, a citizen of Summerland filed a petition for judicial review challenging council's decision to grant a development variance permit. The district was served with this petition on January 7th, 2025. That litigation is described in this report, as is council's rationale for bringing this forward. Rather than be bound to use public money to fight costly, unnecessary, and unmeritorious litigation with respect to either staff or council's intentions, council has instead directed that a site-specific rezoning be brought forward for consideration in relation to 18420 Garnet Valley Road. As this is a council-directed initiative, there is no application before you. In particular, the report notes that bringing forward a site-specific zone is a way in which council can show with abundant clarity its intentions with respect to the property, which have been called into question by this dubious litigation. As the allegations of bad faith are made against staff, we will not comment on that further, and we'll leave that to council. Turn it over to Director of Development Services for any further introduction.
Thanks, Graham. Regarding the specifics of this amendment bylaw, the first thing it does is to allow agritourism use on the property less than 2 hectares in size. Second, it deals with the siting of those uses. Rather than rely on the farm home plate rules that are applicable to the property, this site-specific zoning creates specific setbacks that limit the location of agritourism accommodation uses on that property. The site setbacks site the uses close to the existing residential buildings on the property. So while the siting mechanism is different than that utilized for the DVP, the effect is largely the same as the DVP. We are happy to answer any questions council may have on this zoning amendment bylaw. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Okay, seeing none, would somebody like to bring forward the proposed motion? Councillor Peak? Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Barkwell? Okay, any further questions? You can see the motion up on the screen there. All right, seeing none, I will call the question then. All in favor? Against? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, moving on to section 19, business arising from the committee of the whole meeting and closed section. Corporate officer, do we have anything? No? Okay. Section 20 of our agenda, notice of motion. Does any councillor have a notice of motion they'd like to bring forward? Councillor Patton, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 2 that I would like to bring forward for next meeting. The first one would be to discuss the dog control contract that for 2026 and the removal of dog licenses. And the second one is to ask staff to report back on having development services become a cost recovery department.
Okay, thank you. So we will hear more about that at our next meeting. Any other notices of motion? Okay, seeing none. Council reports. Does any councillor have anything to share tonight? Councillor Betts, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got a couple things tonight. Of course, like everybody here, I think I had the opportunity to attend the OCP meetings. I was there in the afternoon session to take the opportunity to participate and hear about the future growth plans of Summerland and to better understand how to contribute. One thing that that came out of it, just as a really simple communication piece, I think that I hope that we could move forward with was that asking about having just a sandwich board that informs about our district notices. Sometimes we've got them at the roundabouts, but potentially getting one on the corner of Jubilee and Victoria North, because some of our residents are coming in that way, not hitting the traffic circles. And I just thought that was an interesting piece, and no harm in asking if we could get one more sandwich board to talk about our open houses and things for residents on that side of town. Second thing I wanted to bring up was just as a follow-up about our arena roof. Staff have been working really hard to provide, just get some more insights about the leaks that I had brought to the attention, and it's just been really great to see our staff respond so efficiently and quickly, and really getting the work done, making sure that the work is completed to its full and proper completion point. So it's still a work in progress, but I know all of the users of the arena will be happy to hear about that progress.
Hey, great, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, there's no further comments then. I will call for an adjournment. Councillor Van Alphen, Councillor Betts, all in favor?